My wife and I have 3 beautiful children, and we feel called to delay pregnancy and enter into a season of abstinence in order to do so. As a man whose love language is physical touch, I'd love for this season to bring us closer rather than just getting through it. I'm with you, brother. How can we make this time of abstinence fruitful instead of just coping with it? Brother, I love you for this question. Thank you for asking it. I have a lot to say. Let me see if I can condense it here. We have this idea of sexual desire as just an itch that we have to scratch, right? And we think if I get to scratch it whenever I want, then I will be sexually free. But let's think about that. Is sexual freedom just never saying no to our sexual desires? Is sexual freedom the liberty to indulge my compulsions? Or is sexual freedom liberation from the compulsion to indulge? Our answer to that question will pivot us in one of 2 directions, either towards authentic freedom in loving or towards sexual addiction. If we go down the path that freedom means I have the license to indulge my compulsions whenever I want, that does not lead to freedom. It leads to addiction. We end up being people who cannot say no to our compulsions, and that is not freedom. We must learn to train our bodies and our sexual reactions with the help of God's grace, opening our sexual desires always to God's grace. We train them to put them at the service of genuine love and affection. And this means for a married couple during times of abstinence, if they have become truly master of themselves, then they can and should express a freedom in touches, caresses, kisses. Something in a book I read years ago that my wife and I have really benefited from was what they called skin-to-skin contact. That does not lead to sexual intercourse, that does not lead to sexual climax, that may involve, because we're human and it's normal when we're skin to skin, it may involve a certain level of arousal, but if I am master of myself, I can put that arousal at the service of the dignity of my wife and my own dignity. Times of abstinence, if they can only be accepted by you sleep in that room and I sleep in that room, and we can never see each other naked, and we can certainly never kiss or be close or have skin-to-skin time because we'll be overwrought and we can't control ourselves. Well, okay, if that's where you are, let's admit that, let's face that, but let's grow. Let's take steps towards self-mastery. How do we become master of ourselves? John Paul II says we have to start with little decisions that we can actually put into practice. And then we build those self-mastery muscles, always with God's grace. So let's assume a married couple could not imagine being naked in bed together without having sexual intercourse because they think they would be overwrought with sexual desire. They couldn't control themselves and they do it. Okay, so start with a small step. Can you be in bed together with your clothes on, but holding one another very closely? Can you be in bed together with your clothes on and kissing each other without being overwrought? And if you find yourself getting overwrought with sexual desire, can you say in that moment, Lord, I open this to you, and I ask you please to come into my sexual desire and put it at the service of my wife, or put it at the service of my husband and his or her true dignity, which we know in this moment means we're not going to lead to climax. We're not going to have sexual intercourse. We have to face that inner tension. We have to face that inner, what might feel like a compulsion, and open it to God's grace. what human beings cannot do on their own strength, as Christ says, it is not possible with man, but with God it is possible. We have to build up a habit, and it may seem even strange for many people to welcome God into their sexual desires. Start right there. If that seems strange to you, start right there. Lord, why does it seem strange for me to open my sexual desires to you? What impression do I have of you that you are not interested in my sexual desires, or you think my sexual desires are bad or wrong or evil or something evil in themselves? Sexual desire is not evil in itself. Who created it? God. But it has become disordered by sin. It's become twisted up. And the redemption is not the throwing away of that twisted up thing. It's letting God's grace into that twisted up reality so that it can be untwisted and can be put at the service of genuine love, tenderness, affirmation, affection. Times of abstinence, so long as we are growing as master of ourselves, times of abstinence can be times of profound connection, tenderness, intimacies of a spousal nature that are beautiful and wonderful, but do not lead to sexual climax. This is truly possible with God's grace. If you want to learn more about how you can let God into those places and live out from an authentic self-mastery, please explore the courses we teach here at the Theology of the Body Institute. There's a link below, TOB for free. We will send you 3 free sessions to our introductory course. It will help you to live a life of self-mastery, which is not just a white-knuckle coping with chaste living, but chastity becomes a true joy because we are becoming integrated in body and soul, and therefore an ever more fruitful, beautiful gift.